Hi everyone, it's Janine here. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's card we have a lot of stamps and dies. I have Lawn Fawn bun in the oven for one of the little buns, I guess, or cupcakes, whatever that is. I have Lawn Fawn Frost Fairy Friends, at least, for these like trilly bits. I have Forest Feast for the like wooden table stump. I have Mom Plus Me for the other stump, wooden stump. I then have the mushrooms from Oh Gnome. I love the saying. I love the name of that one. From Gleeful Gardens, again, I have some more mushrooms. I just wanted as many mushrooms, and you'll see why. I don't use all of them, but I have the rock from Mermaid for You, which in the end, we don't end up using. A bug deal, I have this little caterpillar. From Love You a Latte, I have the little like tea, two of those, and the teacup, tea tag, I guess. Bicycle for You, I used the little girl. From the Sun Bunny, I used one of the bunnies. From Meow You Doing, I used one of the kitties. From Mama Elephant's Slim Window Dressing, I used the biggest die and the Grassy Borders. And then I also used Lawn Fawn's, what's this one called? Delightful Daisy. And the Garden Gnome die, I used the, well, I didn't use the mushrooms from there. I also used the little mushroom house, but I'll show you what I do with that in a second. So I created my own mushroom. So I used the top of the mushroom house plus the little bits in the middle. Then for the bottom part, I actually cut the whole mushroom out, like the bottom part of the house, and then just trimmed it around the edge to make my mushroom top. And then for the stem, if you like, or the bottom of the mushroom, I actually used the Delightful Daisy, I think that's what it's called, and I just trimmed off the leaves and part of the petals to create that little like my own stem. Now I know it looks like a real skinny part of the mushroom, but it works out really well actually, so I was quite chuffed. But that's how I made that mushroom. I also used my Zig Clean Colour Real Brush markers and some Bristol Smooth paper, and all these markers are the ones I used. I used a whole bunch of variety of colours to colour them in. I used Best Fine Onyx Black and Sepia, Vintage Sepia for the main inks. And then for the background, I will be using Selvage Patina, Kitsch Flamingo and Twisted Citron in Distressing. So to start with, I have the Grassy Border, which I used from that Mama Elephant window dressing die set. And what I did was I actually cut out the main sort of scalloped piece a couple of times so that I could get on the bottom edge of that grassy, you can see it will line up with that scalloped edge. So it all like is within the same picture frame, if that makes sense. It's not a frame, but within that same style. And I'm using Twisted Citron for the main part of the grass. And then I believe I will bring in a slightly darker colour just to deepen the edges a bit. So again, I've also got these grassy layers at different heights so that I can just have a bit of depth to, I like more than one. I think it just adds to it. Like I say, I did need a darker colour to go on there, so I have brought in some mowed lawn just to give an edge to the grass. It makes a big difference. And of course this is my favourite two colours of green to put together, although I'm trying to push the boat out and use some other colours that I do have in my stash, because we have them, so why not use them, right? So, but I love this. It's got this sort of limey kind of green. It's just bright and fun. I love it. So once I've done that, I will clean up that because I don't want to transfer that ink to something else. I then have the main background. So this is the main or biggest die that you will cut from the window dressing. And I'm going to start with some Twisted Citron on what I believe is the top of the scene. I was trying to think which way around I did this. And then I'm going to bring in the Kitsch Flamingo, which will add in the next section down. I think this probably would have worked a bit better if I'd used oxides. I think it would have just blended a bit better with the brushes. I was having trouble with these brushes. These are like a knockoff brand just off Amazon, but for the most part they normally work really well, but I was struggling for some reason today. But I wanted the pink and the green to kind of go into each other and create like an orangey effect. And because that green is kind of a limey colour, you sort of get that look going on. I could have used a yellow, actually. If I used maybe squeezed lemonade or something, that would have given that yellow to pinky orangey kind of colour, if that makes sense. And then from the salvaged patina, again, blending that as much as I could in the next sort of line, if you like. And when the patina and the Kitsch Flamingo overlap, they create this purpley colour, which is so cool. So I just kept working at it. It took a bit more than my usual for this one for some reason, but I just kept working it to get it as blended as possible. You're not really going to notice too much in the background in the end, but it does make a difference if you can get that blend to be really nice and smooth. But for this I wasn't too worried. And then of course I'm going to spritz with some water, of course. When do I not? I love doing this. I just think it gives nice texture in the background. So just getting that nicely spritzed, and again that helps with the if your blended lines aren't quite so blended, it helps to sort of disguise that a little bit. But I like it. I like how it turned out. So I'm just going to dry this off a little bit with my heat tool. Nothing too heavy duty. I just wanted to dry it off a little bit. And as you can imagine, this is my, or as you would have seen from the title, this is my Alice in Wonderland inspired card. I'm loving doing these inspirational kind of like inspired by cards. They make me happy. And it also takes me back to my childhood a little bit, where, you know, some of these are the stories I grew up with as a kid and still adore now. So I thought the first thing I'd do is get my sentiment in place. It was probably the thing that took me the longest to work out where to put, because I realized I had so many elements. When you're doing cards like this, or any card, it doesn't have to be an inspired by kind of card, but just do more than you think you'll need. You can always use those other bits on different projects for other things, but always create more elements to your card than you think you need, and that way you'll have lots to play with, rather than having to stop in the middle of your project to see, you know, say you needed more, like in this case, more mushrooms or something, then you won't have to stop your creation process to have to, you know, make more, stamp and colour more elements. So I always try and overestimate how much I'm going to need and then hope for the best. so just putting on the larger, or the bigger of the grassy borders, and then popping on the front one. Now, because of that scalloped edge that we've used for all three layers, they all line up nicely, and it just gives this lovely look to this. I also didn't put my adhesive right up into the top of the grassy edge so that I can start to tuck things behind. I will have to trim some of these down, because obviously that bottom grass edge is quite narrow, so don't be afraid to do that. Just trim things so that they fit. No one's going to know. Well, you guys know, but no one else will know. And then I can tuck things like the this bigger tree stump. I can get that tucked in and it will just sit in there quite nicely without too much, what's the word? It looks like it's in place, like it's in the right place, if that makes sense. And then again, I needed to put my big mushroom that I created, but I needed to trim the edge down a little bit because I didn't want it to go right off the edge of the card. I wanted to stay roughly within the scallop part of this card. And also bearing in mind that because it's a scallop edge, it's not as easy to trim the edge of something off. So I tried to keep within reason, so that I didn't have to cut anything down, or try and cut around the scallop edge, if that makes sense. So again, I'm going to add that other tree stump in, and at this point I'm just trying to decide where I want my branch to come in. That also came from the a bug deal. I forgot to mention that earlier. And so this is the branch that my Cheshire Cat is going to sit on. So that is one of the kitties that I showed you from the Meow You Doing stamp set. And when I stamped it, I basically took the mouth out. Oh, this was a tip I got to, when you've got your wet adhesive, is to just pop it into something moist, upside down, and it will stop it from clogging while you're working with it. It did not work. It landed up sucking up the liquid from the baby wipe, so I won't be doing that again. I'll just stick with what I'm doing. Anyway, so my Cheshire Cat, when I stamped him, I used a piece of washi tape just to block out the like his mouth area, because the mouth didn't match what I wanted for the Cheshire Cat. And then I just drew in a weird mouth for the Cheshire Cat. I could have actually done a bigger mouth now that I'm looking at it, but it's fine. And then I drew in some stripes, and the thing I will say is just be aware of what colouring mediums you're going to use, because my the pen that I used, unfortunately, as I was colouring, I had to be very careful because it was bleeding. So I think I need to get a more permanent kind of pen for that kind of detail when I'm using watercolours. I think if I'm using alcohol markers, that pen will be fine. But yeah, so I just used one of those kitties, made him into my own little Cheshire Cat. And then the girl I made into Alice. Her pinafore thing went a bit wrong, but I'm just going with it because I've done a lot on this card at this point. And then is it Absalom? Is that the little what do you call him? The caterpillar. I stamped him, and then I drew in, although I drew it the wrong way around, I drew in his little pipe that he's smoking. So that's what I was trying to show you a second ago, or a few seconds ago. And then for my tea, I have the Drink Me that I wrote on the little tag thing that comes off from like tea bags and things. And then for the little cake, I used the other one and wrote Eat Me on it. So it's just like an homage to Alice and the adventures that she went on, and the fact that she had to drink the drink. I can't remember which way around it works, but one shrinks her and one makes her huge, and all this sort of thing. And then of course you've got Epsilon, is that his name? Anyway, and the Cheshire Cat, and then of course the White Rabbit, which we'll get to in a bit. So for all these pieces, I am adding these mushrooms in. I actually looked up Alice in Wonderland and found a scene that I thought I could get the most detail out of, so that I could recreate not the exact scene, but I could then create enough that it would hopefully lend itself to, so you guys could see that it looks like Alice in Wonderland. So that was the idea anyway. So the huge mushroom, hence the big mushroom, obviously the Cheshire Cat in the tree, on the branch, Epsilon, I keep wanting to say that's his name, on the mushroom chilling out with his pipe. Alice, obviously, and the white rabbit. For the rabbit, again, I drew in his outfit. I took reference from images on Google to try and get a little outfit going on for him as best I could. So if you guys have not seen it yet, I also did I've done a few of these now, but I did a Peter Rabbit one as well, where I had to draw in this little outfit. It's actually really easy to do. It's just, well, I say that Alice was harder to do for me for some reason, but the little white rabbit was pretty easy to get his little, his coat and his bow tie and his little waistcoat and stuff like that. So I've got him coloured in. I also took reference from the colours that were in the images, and I referenced new age versus even the old original kind of colours and things. So it's a big old mixture. So my card base is scored at 3.5, so it's a 7 by 8.5 piece of cardstock, and this is just white box standard cardstock. Nothing fancy about this cardstock. But it's a thickish cardstock, so that it's got a bit of weight to it. Hence why I have to score it about on the fold line a few times. So for the watch, I actually found in a sticker book from Heidi Swap, I found one of the clear stickers. So I added it to a piece of white cardstock and then just somewhat straight-ish cut it around the edge of it. It's not a perfect circle, but it works. And then I actually stuck it to another piece of thin cardstock so that I could add the line of the chain that he'd be holding, and then stuck it to the card along with all the extra little trilly things, whatever you call those things, which again I took reference from this image that I found online. Now, I thought that the Cheshire Cat looked all right, but I thought googly eyes would make him stand out that much more. So, and for some reason, I have two different heights of googly eyes. So you'll see I'll fiddle and faff with this until I get the same size. I didn't realise that at the time, but it was fine. And eventually I'll get the right size ones on there for him. But I think it makes a big difference to him putting the googly eyes on. So, I think you can also get they look like big eyes, but they're sort of they were more like enamel dots kind of thing. So I decided to use some Gold Coast, I think this is. It's a glitter Nouveau crystal drop, and although it's in a gold hint, it's not the clear one, so it's not the white blizzard. But because of the gold hint, I thought over the browny mustardy colour for the centres of the top of the mushrooms, I thought it worked really well, and it still will dry somewhat clear, but it'll have that hint of more goldy colour rather than white glitter in it. And I think it makes a big difference to this. So I will add that to all the mushrooms. And then I think my scene is pretty much done. I can't think that I did anything else. I did this a little while ago, so you have to forgive me. And I love slimline cards for this. If you do not a mini slimline, but like a normal size, what I would call a normal size, so this sort of size slimline, there's so much real estate. You've got so much space to create. I think it's so cool for things like this. Oh, I used a Nouveau Aqua Shimmer pen, which is just a clear shimmery colour. Well, it's not a colour, but just a clear shimmer over the top of the cake and the liquid in the tea cup. And it just adds a little bit of something, because obviously it's a mysterious thing. But because these are zigs, just be aware that it will pick up that colour, so just wipe it off as you go. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying all the inspired by cards that I'm making. I will keep finding things to do this. At the moment, it's obviously childhood memories of cartoons and animations and things, but I hope this was fun for you, and I hope you do the same. and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.